Ooh, welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on Zoom with me right now Ken Foree, and he played multiple roles in various horror films, such as Joe Grizzly in Halloween from 2007, Benny in Leatherface, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Charlie Altamont in The Devil's Rejects, among many other credits he has to his name. And we have something we're going to be promoting today as well. How you doing, Ken?
Doing fine, Scotty. How about you, man?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad that you can join me. I guess, give everybody a little background about yourself, but let us know, how did you get your start into acting?
Well, I started in New York off Broadway, and strange story. I was involved in politics and community work. As a matter of fact, I started at the Walter Reed organization as an assistant manager for the Baronet and Coronet Theaters, right across from Bloomingdale's in New York. So we opened The Exorcist and The Graduate at that theater. Four lines around the block, four deep. Great time, great experience for me. Then I went over to the Fine Arts. The Fine Arts, I think it was Fine Arts, yeah. We opened the producers with Zero Mostel and Gene Wilder. And from there to the festival where we opened Deer Hunter. And from there to the Mill where we opened The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So I moved around. I got to see a lot of great people, and we had a few premieres. So I got to meet Mel Brooks and Eli Wallach and Paul Newman, Joan Woodward, and a string of others. So it was a great time for me. So at that point, I was in, I did that for a while, and then I started doing community work, getting involved in politics, and I opened a photography studio.
Nice.
With a partner of mine, and we opened about 2 months, and we lost every dime because of every bit of equipment, because someone broke in and robbed us. Broke in when we weren't there, of course, and robbed us. And so in between that and that shock and not knowing exactly where I was going to make the next turn in my life, was spending a day with an actress who I knew, talking and having tea somewhere, and we stopped by our house and had more tea and talked more. And we're having a wonderful, lovely day. And she was just a friend, and she said, listen, I'm going to go down and audition for a role downtown Midtown, 42nd Street, really. And he said, why don't you come with me, and then we'll have something to eat afterwards. I said, great, let's do that. So I went down with her, and then they were auditioning. I sat in the back. Somebody said, why don't you go up? I said, I don't know anything about this. I said, no, we just go up for some fun, man. And she said, yeah, why don't you go up? You're not doing anything anyway. You might as well. I said, okay, why not? And there were a lot of people coming. I mean, people could barely sing happy birthday or say, say their names. So I said, okay, why not? I'll just go up and for a little kick. I got the leading off-Broadway play.
Nice.
And that was the beginning. We took it to the Manhattan Theater Club. I got great reviews there. And from that point on, I had sawdust in my brain, and I was in my nostrils, and I was on my way.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's a long story to get to how I started to become an actor. But got me there. But that's
I love hearing those stories, and that's always the first question I ask all my guests, because everybody's story always starts at a different place in a different location, and some people have struggles, and some people, were born into acting, and I like hearing everybody's experiences breaking into filmmaking and acting. It's really, really interesting. Yeah. So
I hope mine was one of them, certainly.
It was. I absolutely enjoy hearing that story. And I love Broadway. I love theater. I love watching Broadway. And it's amazing. Amazing.
Great. And they're not working now. And that's such a shame. But I loved, you come on, the Broadway was something special. If you haven't been to a Broadway play, put it on your bucket list.
Absolutely. I was at my last Broadway play in December, right before Christmas. I was going to go to two. One of them happened, and then the other one, that's when everything was getting shut down again because of COVID. But
Absolutely. Yeah.
I saw Aladdin on Broadway, and the one that got closed down was the Michael Jackson one.
Oh yes, right.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
unfortunately,
it's been a while, but I certainly want to get back, and as soon as we can open up and get some normalcy in our lives, I certainly want to be back and spend a couple of weeks just going to plays, you know.
Absolutely.
One right after another.
Absolutely. And I'm a huge fan of Halloween. Rob Zombies definitely took it in a different direction. And I thought he did it really well because he made it his own. And you obviously had the role of Joe Grizzly. And I always love your quote in that where you're like, it's Joe Grizzly, bitch. I love when you said that. That was so cool.
I'm terribly sorry. Sorry, I should have shut this off. I didn't know. And I probably get all of these crazy calls from, you know, these people who want to sell you life insurance or something.
Car warranty.
Yeah. Let me put it in the drawer here. Maybe that keep that quiet for a minute. Yeah, Joe Grizzly. My goodness. Let me tell you that there's so many things about that role. Shall I give you a little history with that?
Yes, please do.
Okay. I knew Rob told me about the role, and I said, and I looked at it and I said, oh, okay. So, you know, this is not that much to do, but I said, okay, there's something to do here. And I saw that it was, there was a line there that's one of my favorite lines in all film history, and that was what we have is the failure to communicate. It's the Struthers Martin's line in Cool Hand Luke. And I said, oh God, I get to say that. That's the Struthers Martin. I'm a fan of his work. I love Struthers Martin. So I said, I want to do this. So, and then I said, well, he gets all of his clothing from me after this. And every Halloween movie he's going to be wearing my jumpsuit. So I'm his haberdasher. So, okay, I'll do this. Okay. And it was, you know, I knew Rob would take care of me. So about, I think 2 weeks before the shoot, I was working out and preparing for, you know, because I in those days I stayed in pretty good shape, but I wanted to be a little sharper, you know, so because I knew Tyler's a big guy, we would tumble a little bit, so I wanted to be on my A game. So I started working out and I twisted my knee for some reason. I don't know why. And it's just very painful. I was limping terribly. It was swollen a bit. And I went to the emergency room and they said, listen, I need to do something about this. And they said, no, we can't do anything about it. You haven't broken anything, but you're going to have to rest it for a couple of weeks and it will begin to, the swelling will subside and you'll be able to be back to normal in 2 or 3 weeks. I said, no, you don't understand. I'm fighting a 7-foot guy in about 2 weeks and I need this fixed right away. And I can't be laid up. They said, no, we're sorry, we can't do anything about that. You're really gonna have to rest it. But I said, no, you don't understand. You're gonna have to do something with this knee now because I'm fighting it. They eventually called security and threw me out of the place. So I said, okay, I got it. So in the meantime, I had an appearance in Northern Cal, and I got there. I'm, really limping. I said, okay, I didn't have to do much, just sit there most of the time. So that was cool. But it was just a pain just to be on my knee. It was okay for a while in the morning, but in the afternoon it started to ache. And I knew a vendor that we had been at a few events together, and he was kind of friendly with me. And he said, let's give a party, Kenny. You got that big suite. I did have a big suite at the time. I said, yeah, why not? Let's give a party. I'm not going to be able to do anything. I'm going to be in the bedroom, but yeah, you guys can give a party. Why not use my suite? I don't know why I said that. I guess I was out of my mind, but I said it. And so we told everyone, and he told everyone, and then he bailed out the son of a gun. And so I was left holding the bag. And I had a friend of mine, a female friend, I won't mention her name, but she was an executive for one of the networks. Yeah. And she said, I said, where do I get some cheap liquor? You know, is there a discount liquor store or something around here? There's going to be 100 people here. He said, I can't feed all these. She said, it's called room service, Ken. I said, oh, really? Thank you very much for your help. So I had to order room service. There were at least 60 people in that room, maybe. I stayed in my room and my leg up the entire time on the bed. People would come in occasionally to spend a few minutes with me talking, saying hello, and then they go drawing everyone else because the liquor was flowing and the hors d'oeuvres were good. So they were eating and they were drinking and having a great time. Some guys got a little too drunk and they started to climb out. The roof was on the same level as my windows. So they climbed out and they started doing snow angels on the roof.
Oh my God.
It was in front of the hotel. So they started throwing snowballs at the security guys who were standing out in front of the hotel.
Wow.
So the only times I got up to go to the door was to sign for another cart of hors d'oeuvres and liquor, or to answer the security man who were banging on the door saying they're going to throw me out and put me in jail. There's another snowball thrown at them. So,
oh my goodness.
That was what, yeah. So I leave there, I come back to LA, and 3 or 4 days later, I'm on Rob's set. Rob says, Ken, this is what I want you to do. I want you to step in, walk towards the mirror, do a spin, and come back towards the mirror and go, hey, nice, not bad. And I said, you can't do it, Rob. And without missing a beat, he said, you hurt your knee, didn't you? I said, yeah. So I didn't get to pull that off in the scene, which would have been great if I could have done it, but I didn't do it. So, and you know, I go in and we start to shoot it, and it's working well. I felt it needed a little more fire in the rehearsal, so I had to pump it up a little bit, and I did. I was able to get a real tussle out of that fight, and we broke 2 stalls. They were bolted into the floor. We tore them both out, and the toilet as well. And we destroyed everything in there.
Nice.
And it was a great scene. And Rob, from what I understand, now Rob may say something different, or he may say he didn't. I don't know. But people told me that Rob would have, if someone came to visit the set, or someone came to work on the set the first day or something, he'd bring them over to his chair, and he took his viewfinder and said, look at this, and show him my scene. So he must have liked it too. I think he really appreciated that scene as well. So, and I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch, is almost as an iconic line as When There's No More Room. And I won't finish that line, never do. But the line from Dawn of the Dead. I went to the UK on that line because people wanted to see me because I'm Joe Grizzly. I had people who work in insurance companies, people who worked as accountants and accounting firms, people who worked in various office buildings all over the city and in different cities. They would say, listen, we come in the morning. And it's strange that I would hear the exact same thing from all of them. We come in the morning, somebody will have a cup of coffee, somebody will grab a donut, and somebody will say, I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch. And then someone from way in the back would say, no, I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch. And then everybody would start, I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch. I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch. That thing went viral, and it still has, and people love that line. So it's a long way of telling you that line is very, very special. Yeah. And people want that line I would say equally. They asked for both lines equally, you know, almost equally. Yeah.
Nice.
Well,
That's awesome.
yeah, and I don't do the other line. You know, I leave that to for the fans because I think they own that line, not me. But but Joe Grizzly bitch, they just love it, man.
Yeah, it's really to me, it's really iconic, and just your delivery for it is amazing as well. And it's like Michael didn't even give a shit about it. Like he is like, okay, you're Joe Grizzly, I'm Michael Myers, and the tussle was on. It was great.
Oh, it was on. It was on. I took a dive, but it was on. Guarantee you, it was definitely on.
Was that a real bathroom that was filmed in, or was that like a set made up for the scene?
It was a set bathroom, as I recall, but it looked so real.
It did.
I mean, it was both the walls were bolted into the floor. Nice. The toilet seemed real, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, everything seemed to be authentic. I mean, you couldn't tell if it wasn't a real bathroom. If you walked to the door and wanted to go to the bathroom, you would walk in there because you thought it was real. It was that authentic. That set design for you, but it was. Joe Grizzly bitch was an ad lib.
Okay.
It just came. It just came. You know,
nice.
In the moment.
That's awesome.
So look, Susie. I think I said look, Susie, or something like that. Called the guy Susie, look, Susie, or something. I was, you know, I was determined to make a good fight, have a good fight with Tyler, and we put on the show.
It really was, and it wasn't like just like, you know, a small, large thing, because it was like you guys both were massive. Like it was a big fight. Like it worked.
Yeah.
It worked.
I'm sorry it didn't go on longer. I thought we could, but we broke. You know, it seemed quick. You know, too quick for me. But then, you know, as I look back and, you know, if I have to be realistic about it, we destroyed two setups. So, you know, I mean, what else can we do? We had to stop.
Absolutely. So you did film obviously The Devil's Rejects with Rob Zombie as well. So did you notice a way of him directing you in The Devil's Reject and the way he directed you in Halloween? Did he do anything different? How did he like was there anything that he did the same, if you know what I'm saying?
Rob pretty much gives me a little string, you know? He gives me a little rope, you know. He lets me, you know, I stick to the script as much as possible and every line. But, you know, occasionally he'll let me go off and say ad lib a little bit here and there. Nice. So he does that. I didn't do that much in Devil's Rejects. I did in Halloween, quite a bit in the fight. The difference in the direction. No, he always directs me. Sometimes he says, "I never know what you're going to say anyway, so do it. Whatever you're going to do."
Nice.
You know, and it works. You know, I mean, you come up with something and it works. Then who's upset about that? You know, that's the purpose of collaboration and film work between a director and an actor. You know,
absolutely.
Sometimes an actor comes up with something that's supposed to bring something to the plate, and if it makes the character more interesting, and certainly the film more because it helps the project, and there's something you want to see, and everybody and the director is not going to have a problem with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So did you have to do any choreography for your fight scene with Tyler?
It was really too close. We were right in each other's chest.
Right.
So it was just grab the knife, you know, go at him with the knife, grab me, and let him eventually get the knife out of my hand and stab me. So it's basically, you couldn't. There was nothing to do. I mean, it's basically okay, Ken. You take out the knife, you go after him. He grabs. You guys struggle with the knife. He gets the knife out of your hand, he stabs you, and that's it. You know,
Right.
so that was basically it. So it was too. It's not like if you have some room and you're doing a stunt, and if he had to pick me up and throw me, then that might be another issue. If there was room, you know, pick me up and throw me, or turn me upside down. Or if I had to do the same to him, something like that. Or we have a little more room to do a more elaborate stunt. Then we'd have to kind of work that out. But it wasn't that. You know, it was kind of, okay, guys, just go for yourselves and don't hurt each other. You know. But,
right, and we know you obviously are a horror film icon. So what do you believe is like the hardest part working as an actor in a horror movie?
Hardest part working as an actor in a horror movie?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any difference between working in a horror movie and a drama. I mean, the reality is that you're dealing with. You are a person that something horrible happens to. So you're a normal person. There's no. You know, I don't think you have to make any adjustment in your acting. You just have to make strong choices. And according to the scene and the character and what's going on and what emotions are necessary. But basically, you know, it's like any other film. You know, you make your choices and you give it your all, and you see where it takes you. Sometimes you hit some most magical moments, no matter what kind of genre you're in. You know.
Absolutely.
Even in comedy, even in episodic or in serious drama, you know.
Awesome. And I know you have another film coming out. I know you wanted to talk about it a little bit. Do you want to let everybody know about this project?
Oh, well, I've got, well, you know, I will tell you an interesting story, and I've told this story for a bit. But I'm telling you a real interesting story. Okay. I've got a film. First of all, I've got a film on Netflix called John Henry. That is another story altogether. Let me tell you, have we got some time here?
Yes, we do. We got as much time as you need.
Okay. I'm going to give you some stories, okay? Because this is, I never get tired of telling this one. I've told you, fans will probably get tired of hearing it, but I'm telling the same story. But John Henry got some pretty strong reviews in terms of, they were pretty hard on the production, writers, directors, that kind of stuff. They're hard on them. And a few of the actors too, I guess. And so we, nonetheless, we played on Netflix and we stayed in the top 10 for the first week and a half, the top 10. Films that have high budgets, get 5-star ratings, get great reviews, don't stay in the top 10 for over a week in Netflix. This did for some reason. And I did the same thing in Europe as well. Okay, I got on a plane going to the Midwest, and I think it was TWA, not TWA, what the American or TWA. It really dates me, American or Delta, and they had about 7 or 8 films. It wasn't, they had a lot of films to watch, and I wanted to watch film. I wasn't going to read anything. I said, let me just relax. And they had John Henry there. So this thing just floated everywhere. Right. But God, the reviews were just not pleasant. So Variety gave it a review as well. Saying they followed the same guidelines as the other reviewers and gave it a pretty horrible review. Variety called the producers and said, listen, we'd like to talk to you about your big mega hit on Netflix. So they called the producers, and they put out another review of what a great film it was. Just because we were on Netflix for maybe 10 days.
Oh my goodness.
You know, so after they had canned it.
Wow.
Yes. Only in Hollywood, my friend.
Only in Hollywood.
Only in Hollywood. So that's John Henry. It's still playing Netflix. I play a very interesting character, a crazy character, a strange OG, as they call him. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people probably would enjoy that character.
Nice.
I got another one on Amazon called The Rift that we shot years ago in Serbia. That's on Amazon. That's still streaming there. But let me just go to this other. And I guess this is what you call coincidence. And I don't want to go any further in terms of, comparing it to anything else, because I don't want to get mystical, get a mystical kind of thing, and get into something that I don't really want to share. People don't want to hear. So I'll just tell you. 1975, I get a call. So they say, would you come over to United Artists? I said, well, who is this? And they said, well, who wants me to come to United Artists? I think someone was telling me, I think an agent who I knew or something I'd just gotten. I think I'd just gotten an agent. And they said, they want to see you at United Artists. What? United Artists Building? So I walk over to United Artists Building in New York. And I go, I mean, it was a gentleman by the name of Chris Mankiewicz and Anna Navarro. Okay. And a woman named Anna Navarro, very nice people. Mm-hmm. And they said, we're looking for you. We're considering you for a film we're going to produce. And we have ready. We're going to shoot. And but we need to see a reel on you. Do you have a reel? I said, no, I don't have a reel. Gee, we really need to see something on you. I said, well, listen, come down to my acting class. I'm doing The Great White Hope, for The Great White Hope tonight. And you can see me there. Oh, no, we don't have time. We don't have time. I said, no, come down, please. You'll get to see me. You get to see me live. You don't have to look at the reel. Come down and see me. No, we don't have time. Listen, this is only take you a few minutes, and then you can leave. You don't have to stay and meet anybody. They said, okay, we'll come down. Okay. They came down. They watched the scene. They motioned me out to meet them in the lobby. I went out and met them in the lobby. They said, meet us in our office at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. I got there at 8, they got there at 10. So I'm sitting there and they tell me that I'm gonna play, they're looking at me and considering me, and they were considering an actor in the West Coast at the time by the name of Dick Anthony Williams. Dick Anthony Williams, do you know the film The Jerk?
It sounds familiar.
Steve Martin.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Well, he was in a black family there. He was originally, he was raised by a black family. Well, the guy that plays his brother, the tall guy, light-skinned guy, that's Dick Anthony Williams. And Dick Anthony Williams has been in much more than that, but that's the only thing I can think of right now. Okay. Anyway, they were considering Dick Anthony Williams on the West Coast and me on the East Coast. They said, we really like you, and we saw what you could do last night, and we think you're the man we want. And they said, you have to take a screen test, but we're sure you'll be fine. And we can guarantee you we want to work with you. I said, okay. So they said, you're going to play the role of Crispus Attucks, the first man killed in the American Revolutionary War. And I said, oh, okay. And they said, your co-stars will be John Gielgud, Sir John Gielgud, and Sir Trevor Howard. Oh. Now, these are going to be co-stars for me. Okay. You're going to shoot it in Boston, in the UK, and Boston, the UK, and Jamaica. Okay. Yeah. So while they're telling me this, there are people from Jamaica coming in, set designers, location people from Jamaica talking. I know, well, this is real. They're really, they're ready to shoot this. This is going to happen. This This is it in development. This is really, these people are ready. So they said, you're going to be a major star. You're going to go around and publicize this all over the country, maybe all over the world. You're going to, you're going to be, it's going to change your career. You're going to be, are you ready for this? I said, absolutely. And so they said, okay, we'll call you in a couple of weeks. We have to go to LA. We're gonna work out some final financial things, tie those up, and then we'll call you back. You come out and have your screen test, and we'll be on our way. So I said, okay. And I left there. I got in the elevator and I went, berserk. Oh, God, my day. I'm going to be a star. My God. John Gielgud and Trevor Howard are God, these are, talking about icons.
Yeah.
My God, these guys, Jesus. So anyway, okay. So a couple of weeks passed and I said, gee, nobody's called. Third week, I said, oh, boy. So I went around to the Indianapolis building. I went up. I think the guy's name was Irving Kratzner. He's a producer. I've got to get his name right. Maybe not his name, but he did quite a few. He did a lot of work. I've got to get his name right because I'll tell the story, and I hate to stumble here. Anyway, they were his offices. They said, well, they were using our offices. I said, I understand that. I said, have you heard from them? They said, no, we haven't heard from them, but they're out in LA. I said, would you give them a message from me that I was by, and would they give me a call? And I'd like to know what's going on. They said, sure, we'll pass it on. I gave my number and I left. A couple of days later, they called me and they said, the tax laws had changed that year. And if you look it up, you'll verify this. That half the films that were slated to go at green lights during that year went south, and Christmas Addicts was one of them.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the end of my big break right there.
Oh my
God. So anyway, my family and my hometown, in 1922, the Klan in Indiana Indiana took to the Klan like ducks to water. Okay, I don't know why, but if you watch anything on the History Channel or A&E or something, and they talk about hate groups and they talk about the Klan and where it was popular, they always stop in Indiana to give you a little picture of Indiana as well. I don't know why, but they do. Well, I know why, because the Klan infested it. They seem to find it a nesting ground there. Anyway, so they decided that they didn't want, and they controlled the politicians and school boards, police departments, the governors. They said, we don't want these black teenagers in all our white high schools. There are too many of them now. It's becoming a little bit of a problem. We don't want that miscegenation going on around with our kids. So we want to make sure that we get them out of there and put them in a school where they can be isolated with their own people. So they built this high school in 1927, finished construction, called Crispus Attucks High.
Oh.
My family went to Crispus Attucks. My mother and her siblings were there, all 5 of them. My father and his siblings, all 8 of them. Everybody, every African-American in that city at one point in the early days went to Crispus Attucks High. So generation after generation after generation after generation, graduating class after graduating class after graduating class, all of those people knew each other, married each other, knew sisters, knew the brothers. My brother went to school with your brother. Mine was in class with your brother. My sister graduated with your sister, and wow. That kind of thing. They just knew it was, everybody knew each other. So, years after people had graduated and married, they would spot their children out there, and they would tell you who your mother and father were because they went to school with them when they were dating. So they know, they can look at you and tell you're the child of Betty Sue and Joe Blow, because we know. Yeah. So yeah, how you know? You look just like them, you know. And it was a strange situation for a school from a Midwestern school, a Midwestern town of that size, to have a school, the population as large as that, to have all of those African Americans in one school, right, for so many generations, so many graduating classes. Anyway, so it's very close to me. I know about it. I didn't go there, went to Catholic schools, but I know about it. I know so much about the history of it. You know, I know more about addicts than I know about my schools, you know, because everybody I knew was there. I was part of the community. It's part of everybody that was around me. You know, I mean, there were other schools. There were other things going on. Certainly, some blacks went to Catholic schools and that kind of thing. But basically, Crispus Attucks High School was huge. It is a historical landmark. There have been documentaries on it. One by PBS by I can't think of his name. Ted. Can't think of his name. Anyway, but I'll think of it in a minute. Spike did a 20-minute documentary on Oscar Robertson and Crispus Attucks High School. There have been journals and articles written about it. It's still a high school, and they're still producing great students, and you know, academics are very high there as well. But it's probably the most, one of the, if not the most, one of the top ballyhooed high schools in the history of the United States.
Nice.
So now I'm here in California years later acting, and I'm writing. In between. I'm teaching basketball with kids that are 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 years old. In between jobs. I just enjoyed doing it. I was very good at it. And I like to see the lights come on in their heads when they got something. So, you know, I did enjoy teaching them. So I'm coaching basketball, and one of the kids' fathers was a writer. And we started writing a little thing together, a little low budget action adventure thing called Cracked Out at Vernon Heights. And he moved to Jersey. And so I would send him some ideas, and he would send me, you know, pages of the script. So someone saw me writing the ideas, and they said, "Oh, you write, you're a good writer. Why are you writing? You're a good writer. You should write alone." I said, "Okay, all right, no, I'm not listening to this." But they kept at me and kept at me, and the people that were telling me this were executives from major network. They would stop by, picked it up, saw me writing, said, you picked up what I was writing, said, "You're really good. You should write by yourself." Anyway, eventually they kept bugging me about it. And I said, "Okay, I'm going to write something." I said, "What do I write?" I said, "Well, I'm going to write something." I didn't take them serious. So I tried to say, just to get them off my back, I said, "I'll write something." And I said, "Well, why don't I write about addicts, where Crispus Attucks, where my family went to school." My family has a slew of strange names: Nanny Bell, Newton, Canotus, just unusual names in the family. So I said, I'll use their names. I'll give them all a 30-page little script with their presents for Christmas, and it'd be Happy Christmas. Look what I wrote for you. Look something about addicts, and hope you enjoy that too and laugh, you know. Well, I started writing, and 300 and some odd pages later, I said, "What have I done? What do I have here?" I have a 6-hour limited series about Crispus Attucks High School, its history. And finally, I had to start doing research. I had to go back to Indianapolis and interview people. I had to listen to all of them revisit the old wives' tales and some of the stories I grew up with. I had to talk to just a lot of people and read books on McClan and on Indiana basketball and on addicts, and I put together this 6-hour limited series on Crispus Attucks High School, and that's what I'm trying to push right now. So I'm in the process of moving that. I had, you know, when after I finished the 300 some odd pages, people said this was one of the best scripts they've ever read.
Nice.
Now, these are executives for major networks, and I kind of have to give them credence and look at them with some seriousness and say, okay, I respect your opinion. But on the other side, I was saying, when the door was closed, I was saying they must be out of their mind. I've never read anything in my life. This is a fluke of anything. So I said, let me try to do. So I said, let me try to write something in another genre. So I wrote a comedy called Limo Inc. I finished the action adventure thing with the guy called Back Down to Burning Heights. I wrote a zombie script, and I have another script now that's a serial killer script that I'm also pushing. I take a serial killer from the age of 5 to the adolescence and then his teenage years and his adult years, and I follow him all the way through. It's similar to Halloween. I didn't mean for it to be, but it has that kind of, because there's a psychiatrist in it that kind of chases after the guy because he made a mistake of not recognizing him as a crazy person, as a nut when he was 5, when he was 8, and they should have it. And it's just a very dark and very interesting and I, from what I understand from all of these experts and people who are, dealing with scripts every day, that it's as good as anything that ever comes across their desk. So that's what I'm doing. You ask me what I'm doing that. I have some films that are supposedly coming up this summer. I'm not sure. I'm not going to say until I have signed letters of intent, but I don't know until they get, until it's real. When I'm on the set and the check clears, then I'll announce it. Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. And you have my email. So whenever any of those films come out or whatever you're working on, send me an email and I'll promote it for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, absolutely. I certainly will. I'd be
more than happy to promote all that for you.
Yeah. I got a new web page going up. Awesome. I've had a web page in 20 years. Now I'm going to put up a new one.
Nice.
I'm becoming very active on social media, which is something I really was not. It wasn't quite what I wanted to do, but I found that I enjoyed it a little bit more than I did in previous years. So I'm starting to do that a lot. So I have a Twitter account, The Real Ken Foree, and then I have a Instagram account, Ken Foree.8, Ken Foree 8, and on Facebook. So I'm in all of those, and probably about LinkedIn and Slater.
Awesome. And I'll check if I'm following you on Instagram. I have 4 accounts on most accounts. I have my actor author page, my Slasher Scotty page, my production company Gravestone Films page, and my other podcast, To the Movies. So I'll follow you on all 4 accounts as well, and I can also promote that for everybody to follow.
Okay, great. Bring them in. So we got some things coming on the web page in the next.
Awesome.
Launching the web page, I guess, in about 2 to 3 weeks at the most, and then we're gonna have some things that I'm gonna let you know about. It's gonna be, I think it's gonna be interesting, experimental, and hopefully we're gonna do something nice for the people that are coming behind us, just a helping hand, passing it along,
That'd be awesome. And I definitely look forward to seeing that myself. And I said, you got my email. So whenever you want me to promote it and plug it, I'll be more than happy to.
Hey, you got it. Awesome. So what other questions you got for me? Now you let me run my mouth and just yak, and self-publicize, myself and all that stuff, but those are, I find that if fans want to know not only what I did in 1978 or when Being Along came out, but basically most of the fans want to know what I did in 1978 with Dawn of the Dead, then they should know what I'm doing now and what's going on with my life now. I think they should be interested. I think it's a better experience if they know who I am.
Absolutely.
As opposed to what they see on the screen as well.
Yep. And some people that I interview, they have nothing to promote, and other people have stuff to promote. And I'm more than happy to help them plug any of their stuff coming up, whether it's social media and websites, film, books, anything, because I mean, we're all in, we're all, we're not just that we're in the entertainment industry, we're also humans, and we're also, making a living. And, you wouldn't know about this. Like, I wouldn't have known about this project if I didn't have you on. And I'm glad that you reached out to me to have you on. And I'm more than honored to do it. Big fan of yours.
Thank you. And those are the things I'm going to, but the other is also, who am I after Dawn of the Dead? Who am I after the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s? Who's sitting in front of you now? What's he doing?
Right.
What's he about? That's something changed. And surprisingly enough, the Attic story, from the beginning with John Gielgud and those guys, I mean, that's, talk about coincidence.
Yeah.
Talk about coincidence,
Yeah.
I mean, just why pick me for that role, for that title, and for that school that's so important in my family's life? I'm in New York. That school's in Indiana. And then years later, just out of a whim, I write something, and it happens to be good enough to submit to major networks at this point.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, on the same subject. Why? How do you do that? I mean, is that? I tell you, I did a film. You want another story?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Black History Month. Okay.
Yeah.
So I did another film called Bingo Long Traveling All Stars and Motor Kings. Nice. That was my first major film. That was for Universal. That was in 75, maybe 74. And Bingo Long was, I was doing off-Broadway. So the director was John Badham, Saturday Night Live, War Games, John Badham, director. Yep. Rob Cohen, I think, what's it with the cars, the fast cars, the series, the
Fast and the Furious.
Yes.
Yes.
Rob Cohen was producer. I got to call Rob. I got to find Rob. I tell Rob. I got to find him. It reminds me. I'm glad I mentioned. Yeah. Well, he's the producer. And my grandfather was from Macon, Georgia. My grandmother as well. And he used to take us, but he was in Indianapolis, and I never knew anything about Macon except that they were from there. Right. He used to take me and my other two cousins that were boys to baseball games at the Victory Field. We had a minor league team there, a farm team for the Cubs at one time, or the Red Sox or something like that, in Indianapolis. And he would take us to the baseball games all the time because he loved baseball. Yeah. And then when the Negro Leagues came, he loved the Negro Leagues as well. They called them the Negro Leagues in those days. And every year there was a group of baseball players called the Indianapolis Clowns. The Indianapolis Clowns were the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. Nice. They were really funny. They were hilarious.
I love the Harlem Globetrotters too. So
you wouldn't believe what the Indianapolis Clowns did. I think
that's awesome.
Globetrotters. Just imagine a baseball team doing the same kind of stuff.
Oh
they were outrageous, and they were there. The Indianapolis was their home port, and they were there twice a year, I think. We would see them all the time, as kids. So years later, my first film, I get John Badham and Rob Cohen come to New York, and I'm in a play, and they see me and Vernon, I forget Vernon's name, Vernon Johnson or something like that. But we were in a play, and we played heavies, and they were looking for a couple heavies for their film. And so they contacted me, and I got the job to go down to Georgia and work with Billy D. Williams, James Earl Jones, Richard Pryor, Stan Shaw, Tony Burton, and as a cast of everybody you can think of. I mean, just there were so many impressive people coming through just doing little cameos. Yeah. You wouldn't believe it. So anyway, so we're down there, and we're in Macon, Georgia. Nice. And this is about the Negro Leagues. And guess who the team consists of? Besides James Earl Jones, Billy D. Williams, Richard Pryor, and Stan Shaw, and Tory Burton. Ooh. The Indianapolis Clowns.
Oh, nice. Nice.
In my grandfather's hometown.
That's awesome. That is so cool.
My first film.
Nice. That is really cool. And then look at the career you like made for yourself, like, you know. And it all starts with there, right? That's awesome.
You know, this, my grandfather making the Indianapolis Clowns, Negro Leagues, baseball, to addicts, Christmas addicts, playing Christmas addicts.
Yeah.
Addicts High School, then writing a screenplay about addicts that is
nice.
That is recognized as being very good, and
it really does.
Hopefully, we'll get a shot. You know, I mean, you know, some things you got to say. There must be someone, you know, guiding. You know, somebody. Sometimes we have an angel on the shoulder.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know. I don't want to get crazy about that because, you know, people don't like to hear that. And I understand because, you know, a lot of people don't believe in angels and they don't believe in God.
I have my dad as an angel. He passed away in August of last year. He had brain cancer for 5 years and he just passed away in August. And it was hard and it still is. And my dad, listen to this now. My dad, I made my first book was the Ultimate Friday the 13th trivia book. And then I made the Ultimate Halloween trivia book. And my dad pushed me so hard to get Jamie Lee Curtis to write the foreword to that book. And I'm like, Dad, she's not going to even give me a second eye. Well, guess what? I got Jamie Lee Curtis to write the foreword to that book. So angels watching. He was alive at the time, obviously, but the fact he's always been my biggest supporter, like I believe 100% that it could be, it's angels are real.
Let me tell you, yeah. Well, you and I both believe that that even if they passed, they're still there. They're still there.
Absolutely.
And they're still doing something for you. And that was, I couldn't believe it. I wish my grandfather had been alive when I did Big Olo. You know, so I could say, hey, look what is happening. I wonder what his reaction would be.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. I
you know,
understand that.
You know, a lot of people that are going to watch this will look at you and I and say, these guys are off their rocker, or they're going to go puh. And say,
absolutely.
You know, they're going to hate this.
My dad even said the same thing about my podcast, this podcast. He said, like, I mean, I don't get many views on the YouTube version because the YouTube I just started about a year ago. But when I first started this podcast, for the audio, like on Apple Podcast, Spotify and all that, I would end up getting maybe 100 views a month. But when I started doing films with my company and making films and starting interviewing people in the indie industry as well as the bigger name stars, I get about 25,000 listens a day. 25,000 listens a day on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Not nearly as many on YouTube, but when I look at my my analytics on like almost every night before bed, I'll see like, oh my God, that's how many I got yesterday. Like that's really cool. Like how it became something. It became something. It's amazing.
And you probably needed that encouragement, that you know, there are certain things in your life that probably I could probably switch places with you, and you could probably tell me some very interesting stories as well.
I have some pretty good ones.
I think so.
It's funny because I got an email back in December that they wanted that this retirement home wanted me to do a story on the book I wrote about my dad's battle with brain cancer. It was a New York Times bestseller. And they asked me to do a little presentation for them, and I just did that presentation this past Thursday. So, yep, it's just crazy. Like life, like it takes. Like I always tell everybody, like especially those that are starting, it takes one movie to make your career. It takes one book to get you noticed. It takes one podcast to, you know, one podcast idea to get people to really listen and make that something they want to listen to when they're working or driving.
The advice is to be ready for it and recognize it when it happens.
Exactly. Because you can make 3 movies and they're all flops, but the next one you make is the one that hits.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
That's right. And you don't know who is watching, who you're meeting, who you're going to, who is just doing something that you don't consider. Maybe it's a secretary, maybe it's a runner, maybe it's a coffee getter, maybe it's somebody that's doing something that's technical, a tech person that's not even a major tech person. Right. But if you don't treat them all and develop those relationships, you'll miss out. And I can tell you, I'm an example of what not to do. So I know I got plenty of experience. Let me tell you, if you're starting in this business, remember to develop the relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you happen to work with Dee Wallace on Halloween?
Huh?
Did you happen to work with Dee Wallace on Halloween?
I never worked with her on Halloween, but I know there was Dee Wallace. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know she wasn't in the 2007, but I know you didn't have any scenes together, so I didn't know if you ever saw her backstage or like behind the scenes or anything.
Oh, Dee Wallace and I used to do every year for many years a costume contest where we would MC in Baltimore, Maryland.
Funny enough, I live in Baltimore.
There you go. There you go. It was where are they putting on Monster Mania around that area?
Hunt Valley.
Hunt Valley.
Yep.
Hunt Valley used to be where Horrifying was.
Nice.
Horrifying, F-I-N-D. Horrifying was the best convention in the country at its time, in its heyday, when it was in Hunt Valley. It and not because it was the largest or it had the best guests or that kind of thing, because it was such a great location. Yep. And it was family run, and they had a great time. It didn't seem like it was in a big industrial machine moving people out in there and stuff like that. Providing those are all great. Yeah. You know, one of my favorites and one of my homes is Chiller in New York.
Nice.
Chiller in New York, huge place, great place. I love Kevin. You know, Kevin and I go back. He put up with a lot of crap for me, and he's a good guy. He's a good guy. I love him, man. Yeah. But they get 30,000, 40,000 people coming through there, I guess, you know, at Chiller. And Chiller is one of the major ones as well. You know, I love Chiller, as well as Monster Mania. I don't do Monster Mania that much. No, I haven't done it, but I've only done. I've gone to Monster Mania once, so but it's a huge success. I know the promoter, I guess the owner of the show, and so there were many great shows around the country, but Horrifying was something special. Nice. And Dee Wallace and I did a costume contest every year, and that contest was the best. That's awesome. It was beyond, I can't tell you, it was more fun because Dee and I we'd have, I don't know if Dee had drinks. I certainly had a few drinks. I know that I got a few of the guests that have drinks, doubles. Nice. And we would start to just interview people as they came up with the costumes. And it was a room that was packed, but comfortable. And the audience was into it. And the panel, the judges were into it. And the people who were the contestants were. And it was a very popular show. And we did that contest. That contest was very popular. That's awesome. We did that for, I think Dee and I did that for 10 years.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. March, this upcoming March, next month, will mark 3 years since I had her on my show. I had her on in 2019. Great lady. It's funny because when I reached out to her, she agreed to do the interview and everything, and then she sent me a message. Scotty, I got called to set. Wasn't supposed to be on set, but I got called. They need me on set. So, but I'm not gonna postpone this interview because I promise you that I promised you, and I don't break my promises. I would do this interview. So when I get to set, I'll give you a call because this is before I did it all on Zoom and everything. She's like, I'll do the interview when I'm in hair and makeup, but you got 30 minutes. She gave me 45. Yep.
Yeah, she's
Amazing.
a stellar lady. She's an all right lady. I like
Absolutely.
Dee. I like Dee a lot.
Absolutely.
We always are very friendly with each other, and we've known each other, I guess, for over 20 years now.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I thank you so much, Ken, for joining me. I had an amazing time. I love listening to your stories, and just hearing everything from your set on Halloween to the attic and all that different stuff that you were talking about. Like, it really is, I learned so much about you as a person, not just you as an actor, but as a person. And that's what these interviews are really meant to be as well. Yeah.
And I guess we'll be in touch.
Absolutely.
We'll be in touch, Scotty.
Absolutely. And I'll have these up sometime today, and I'll send you the links once I got them. All right.
Great. I had a great time, man.
Yep.
I'll
Me
see you
too.
soon.
You have a great rest of your day.
Okay,
Bye.
You too. Talk to you, Scotty.